What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Altitude Show. I'm your host, Dave Brinker. This is Elevation Journal number 21. The Altitude Show is brought to you by Mountain Tough Fitness. Mountain Tough Fitness is the app that I use to get my body, my mind in shape for all the different crazy things that I do. Mostly spending time in the mountains, but also longevity, trying to keep my body healthy so I live longer. I'm turning 43 in a couple weeks. So there's that. It is an absolutely world-class app, and they have everything from mental training to self-improvement, prehab, rehab, stretching, mobility, all kinds of different programs for every level of athlete. I prefer their minimal gear daily, which is a new workout they post every day. It's 35 to 45 minutes, minimum equipment needed. I do it right here in my office, my studio. Usually you only need like a dumbbell or a kettlebell and a pull-up bar. Sometimes you don't need anything, and it kicks your butt. Love it. Use the code DAVE20 for 20% off your subscription. Go to the App Store, get the Mountain Tough app. DAVE20 will get you 20% off. It helps the show, and it'll help you because you'll be a better person, better human. All right. So this week, I put out an episode with Corey Ford from Angry Spike Productions. Corey's a friend of mine, fellow Pacific Northwester, and a Roosevelt Elk junkie. And we talked before the season with him and Shannon, and I wanted to do a little recap of his season. We were supposed to hunt together this year. We never actually executed on that. Just various things didn't work out. But you can listen to the episode. It's great. Put it up last week, but a few takeaways from that I thought were worth sharing. One of the things I appreciate about Corey, and one of the reasons I think him and Shannon are so successful in what they do in archery hunting Roosevelt elk, is they have a very refined strategy that they run over and over and over and over, and it works. And the reason it works is because they've refined it from years of making mistakes. And every state, every unit, every micro herd of elk or deer or whatever species you're pursuing requires us all as hunters to refine our strategy based on the habitat and the animal's behaviors. They're specifically hunting public land in Oregon, Western Oregon, which is hasn't been logged in years, so it's heavily forested, steep, a lot of roads. I won't give away their strategies. You can watch their videos, but I appreciate the fact that they're so disciplined. I'll give you one example. They don't hunt at daylight. They get up at about 7:30, 8, eat a good breakfast, and they go out because they've found that most of their call-ins, which calling is about the only thing you can do in some of this country because you're not going to just walk through the brush and get an elk. Most of their call-ins occur in the middle of the day because those bulls are really territorial around their bedding area. So if they can get those bulls to answer in their bedding area, they're very successful in getting them to come in. So that's just one example of their strategies. But I appreciate that because I tend to use a lot of different strategies, and sometimes I feel like I'm scattering myself as opposed to just sticking to a couple different really well-refined strategies that work. And, consistency and perseverance is deadly. The second thing that I always am reminded of when I talk to Corey and people like Corey is him and Shannon started filming their hunts years ago, just for fun and putting them up on YouTube. They both still have full-time regular jobs, but they've created this world where all they did was document a thing that they're already doing, put it up on the YouTube, and it's brought them so many opportunities to do a bunch of cool stuff and make a partial living doing what they love. And I just think not enough people realize that, and it doesn't matter if you're a hunter, you could be a plumber, an electrician, a barber. There's a lot of people that make good side hustles off of either their profession or their hobby or both. I have a kid in the jiu-jitsu class that I'm in that has like 120,000 followers on Instagram. He's a barber. He posts videos of cutting people's hair. So Corey and Shannon did that. And I think the key distinction that most people forget is you don't need to create anything new. What are you already doing that you can just simply capture? We all have phones in our pockets these days with amazing cameras. Just capture it if this is something, if you want to create a side hustle, some people don't. If you want to create a side hustle that you enjoy, whether that's, woodworking or whatever, there's never been a better time to do that. But just capture. You don't have to create anything. Just capture things. Find people that are like-minded. Grow slowly. That's what these guys did, and I always appreciate that, because that's what I do in my own life, and I really enjoy it. So the third thing was kind of just attached to that is the platforms that are available to you to do this have never been better. You have YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. You could even decide to write a book. You could decide to do some speeches nearby. But all of this is just in your off hours. Most of us have full-time jobs. Find 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes every day to slowly build whatever the thing is. And don't worry about the numbers. I was talking to a friend of mine the other night who wants to build a following around health and fitness and diet. And he was pretty concerned about the numbers that he's getting. They're not super high right now on his Instagram posts. And my feedback to him was, don't worry about that. Just keep doing what you're doing, and the numbers come. If you worry about the numbers up front, you just get frustrated and quit. And that's what most people do. But if you just look at it as a 5-10 year project and you already enjoy it, if you're already doing it and you're just capturing something, then why not share it? And you're not relying on it for your living necessarily. Maybe someday it'll get to that. But at first, you're literally just capturing something that you're either really good at or you're passionate about or both, and sharing it with the world. And, you're going to wake up 2 years, 5 years, 10 years later, and you're going to have something that's really, really fulfilling, which is more important than dollars. So I think Corey and Shannon have done something cool with Angry Spike, and I really like those guys. And I always learn something from their life and their hunting successes and all the things that they've done. So I wanted to talk today about the winter, because I hate winter for the most part. Never been a fan of it. I don't like how it gets dark earlier. I don't like how my hunting seasons are coming to an end for the most part. I don't like how it just becomes a season of like sugar and eating too much and drinking too much and sitting around too much and staring at the phone too much. I feel like it's an excuse for all of us to get bad habits. And I am guilty as anybody. But I've developed some things to combat it that help me get through the winters better. I lived in Montana for 7 years, and those are pretty brutal winters. Oregon, I think, is a little worse just because it's rain, not snow, and rain sucks. So I have to, otherwise I get really depressed. I have to develop strategies to help me get through the winter. And I feel like as hunting season's closing down, my podcasts are going to start focusing less on the hunting and more on just business, life, all the other stuff I talk about. So we're going to kick that off with 3 things that I do in the wintertime to stop me from falling in the trap that I think most people fall into of laziness and complacency. So the first thing is as days get shorter and my seasons are over, staying like I always come into the winter in really good shape, right? And it's because I've been hiking for 3 months. What I used to do is just use that as an excuse to rest. You got to rest, recover, take a few months off, eat whatever you want. The holidays are for drinking and eating, which is partially true. But what I've done the last few years is the opposite. Basically what the masses are doing, I try to do the opposite, because I don't think what the masses do in the wintertime is good. So, but I needed to figure out, because most of my activities I like to do are outdoors. So, and it gets dark at 5 in Oregon this time of year. So you work during the day. So by the time you get off work and pick up kids and do all the things, it's dark. So I decided that I needed to find a nighttime activity a couple times a week that doesn't involve family. It's just for me, that is mentally and physically challenging. And it's important that it's mentally and physically challenging if you can. For me, that was jujitsu. It gives me somewhere to go. in the evening during the week, 2 to 3 times a week, where I go, I get a good workout. It's challenging. It distracts me that it's dark. The Altitude Show is brought to you by GoHunt.com. GoHunt is the hunting company. Anything that you need for hunting out west, you can find at GoHunt.com, whether that be their world-class gear shop. They have all the best brands vetted by their amazing hunters that work at GoHunt. Trust me, it's the best brands. I do almost all of my hunting shopping on GoHunt.com. But also just their research tools. Like the whole year, you should be doing research, whether that be studying their maps or reading articles from the likes of Brady Miller or Trail Kreitzer, or looking up your drawing odds in various states and when to put in. There's so much information, and it's a great resource. Go to GoHunt.com, use my code ALTITUDE, and you'll get 20% off on just about everything I just mentioned. But you should become an insider. When you become an insider, you can get access to all of these things. So go to GoHunt.com, use my code ALTITUDE for 20% off. Work outside, I don't even realize it because you're just getting your ass kicked. And then you get out and you get home, you see your kids, put them to bed, and boom, it's bedtime. So you made it through the whole darkness of the evening without getting depressed. But it also could be archery league. It could be a bowling league. It could be a gym class. It could be any of those things. You need to decide that for yourself. I think archery leagues are great for hunters, by the way, because it's camaraderie. You're improving your skill for the next year. You're exercising that muscle. Most people put their stuff away for the winter, but that's a whole other topic. So a healthy distraction in the wintertime that's after dark, that gets you to bedtime without sitting around drinking beer on your phone. All right. So that's number one. That has really, really helped me. Number two is I don't want to call them fads or whatever, but I think it is pretty cool during the winter to find a healthy challenge, whether that be a diet or an exercise routine that pushes you past your norm. So examples, 75 hard, sober October. They're semi-cliche, but something that like gives you purpose to do something healthy, but also holds you to strict standards and requires you to be disciplined. Because like sober October, for example, you kill a whole month focused on just not drinking any alcohol, and it makes you feel so good, and you work out and you eat better. And like all of a sudden October's over, and it could be sober November, sober December, whatever. Last year I did no drinks for a year. And so instead of around the holidays drinking a bunch of dark beer and wine like I like to do, I was sober. And while everybody else was drinking all those calories all winter, I was going the other way. I had better mental clarity. I had better physical capabilities. And even though I did have a beer the other day and a glass of wine the other night, because my year was up, I'm now not drinking very much at all. The beers I had the other night made me feel like shit for 2 days. I had 2 beers. Point being, whether that be 75 hard or a weight loss goal or a no drink goal, a no sugar goal, something that gives you another distraction that's healthy to focus on and push yourself towards every day. And you set a specific time frame, you set a specific goal, and you create specific daily tasks to make it to that goal, and you execute, and you do not fucking quit. You don't quit. You do it. I love how Rogan does the Sober October. I know I've said that a few times, but I think that's really rad because he has a huge following and people listen. So it's another way to distract yourself during the winter into something healthy as opposed to just using the winter as an excuse to do unhealthy things. All right. Next thing that has tremendously helped me find purpose and meaning and fulfillment during the winter is finding that one project that you've been putting off and starting to do it, or just doing it, I guess. For me, it's music. I always, in the fall, I never write music. I play a little bit here and there, but I'm always hunting, so I don't really touch my guitar. But when the winter comes around, I start thinking about, gosh, I need to start writing some songs because I want to record again in the spring. So I've been kind of putting it off, a little bit of writer's block. But now it's time for me to start that and create time, whether that be 5, 10, 20 minutes every day, 30 minutes, whatever, to work on that thing that gives me fulfillment and that I'm passionate about. I love doing that. And that for you, it could be, working on an engine of a truck, or reading a book, or, building that man room that you've always wanted, or starting a business. Something that's productive, that puts you in the present, that you've been wanting to do, but you've been putting it off, can really, really kill the winter months and give you something to stay distracted. Okay, the last but not least is using the time, the dark hours of the evening that you're not spending with your family. If you get those moments away, to improve whatever your hobby or passion it is. So for me, bow hunting, I have a whole list of things that I want to improve before next season. One of them is my bow setup. I'm doing a complete renovation of my bow setup. I'm changing brands, and that's my winter project. And then I have a couple other smaller things that I'm going to work on: shooting form, some gear tweaks here and there. But by next season, I will be improved. I will be that much better of a hunter, just a few percent. So building arrows, whatever it is that you need to do to improve for next year. I know next year seems like a long ways away, but it's not. You'll be glad you put that time in. And whatever your hobby is, do that. Doesn't have to be bow hunting, obviously. So those are the 4 things. Find a night activity that challenges your mind and your body. Do some sort of challenge that is healthy. Start the project you've been putting off, and improve your hobby or passion. So the wintertime doesn't have to be a drag. It doesn't have to be a trap for unhealthy things. You don't have to be lazy with everybody else. You can actually use it to get ahead. You can use it to get better, and not be one of those people that just joins the gym in January. You've stayed on your routine. You've been disciplined. You've done hard things and improved yourself all fall and winter. I would rather be like that. So those are things that help me. I hope they help you. I have Bert Soren from Sornex coming on the podcast this week. I'm super, super excited to talk to him about entrepreneurship and life and hunting and all those things. So I hope you guys have a great day out there. I'm going to go get in the deer stand, and because I still have a deer tag. So peace. Even though I've been hunting for 40 years, I'm constantly failing and learning and failing and learning. And one of the things I do in the off season is I try to dig into as many resources as possible to become a better hunter. And one of those places is outdoorclass.com. On outdoorclass.com, you can learn from the likes of Randy Newberg, Remy Warren, and many, many other, Corey Jacobson, many, many other amazing, amazing talents in the industry. And they teach you about their specific skill sets. For example, Remy Warren has a class on mule deer hunting, or Randy has a class on antelope hunting. Corey, elk calling, elk strategy. There's even cooking classes. It's basically the master class for hunting, and it's an amazing resource. We can all get better no matter what stage of your hunting path you're on. So go to outdoorclass.com, use code altitude. That is the code altitude for 20% off your subscription, and do it right now. It helps the show, and it will help you. Thank you.